Bye. Man, Tim, you're the king of consistency. You shut the heck up! I'll do whatever I darn doodly wanting to. All right then, Ned. I'm off to take a dump. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Timothy Fiddle, and Mr. Grumpy Gus is the namesake of this channel. He likes to be called Lord Voldemort. Although he's not a lord of anything anymore. More like Lord of the Turlet. And this is my mystical, magical corner of imagination. It's powered by the unbridled might of nostalgia and Benadryl. So, as my colleague was making fun of me and about to mock me earlier, last time I did this, I said a couple things that aren't true. I said this would be the last one I would be doing with more than 3 games. And that I would only do 3 games in their entirety. Blah. I want you to ignore everything that I say. If there's one thing that I am, it's allergic to everything. Therefore, I'm on that pink medicine all the time. And most of the time, I don't know where I am. But I'm trying. I'll be consistent at some point. But for now, I got the sniffles. However, what is the same is the rules for these. They may change based on a different variation, but for this variation, they're the same. I had to make this one with 6 because I still had a lot of unused footage from when I planned on doing these originally. And I don't have a lot of these games anymore, so, yeah, I figured I'd get them out of the way. Get them all out of the way. So basically what happens is 3 games are chosen off my shelf. And then I play them for an indiscriminate amount of time, usually 30 to 40 minutes-ish. Sometimes an hour, depending on the game or whatever. And then I rate them with my patent-pending puppy dog scale. Dog shit, not dog shit, meh. Something good and good. Or it's good and something good. I don't remember. Those two might be mixed up. Secondly, I give them a secondary score. Definitely expand upon later. Possibly expand upon later. And never touch again. And those are in no way tied to the previous scale. So, for example, if I give something a dog shit, I may choose to definitely expand upon later because I think it'll get some good sillies. Today I'll be doing 6 games from the PlayStation 2 that I no longer have. I've had this footage for about 2 years. But just to give you an example of how goober my brain works. Yeah. Now originally I had my friends pick the games and I didn't know what they picked until I saw them. So I know what you're asking. I picked these games. How did you do so randomly? Well, so I took them and grouped them into 2 groups of 6. The first game of the first trio is Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Now, I really, really like Gauntlet Dark Legacy. But as you know, my middle name is Timothy Unbiased Fiddle. So instead of playing my character that I've had since high school, it's supposed to say Spyro, but I can't read. I made a new character with a completely random name and played through the first level. This is an extremely simple and straightforward arcade dungeon kill everything game. Does that mean it bad? No. Sometimes you just need a little break from all that Baldur's Gating and Diablo 2ing and Elden Ringing. And just pick a fancy color, pick a weird class that doesn't really mean anything, and just kill everything. Gameplay is simple and fun, and the music is pretty neato. And the game itself is very colorful. Something that I always enjoy. It's getting good. and I definitely expand upon it later because I already had plans for that. I like it so much I have it on 2 consoles. The next game is Hunter Wayward for the PlayStation 2. Basically, this is the same kind of game that I just played, except set in the grim world of darkness. Not that one, the first one. All these classes are basically the ones from the tabletop games. They all do different stuff. It's kind of neat. But honestly, the controls are really weird. They're not bad, they're just weird. I don't know how to explain it. The game's getting a meh, and a possibly expand upon later. Should I acquire it again? And the last of the first 3 is Rune, Viking Warlord. This game is set in the Viking times and was clearly the inspiration for God of War 2018. That's a lie. This game is really, really goober. That is the best way to describe it. Goober. Now, seeing this, I can tell you that the controls are not what you think they would be. It has first-person shooter controls. And it's really weird. But it works somehow? It's very odd. And I also find it hilarious that the PlayStation 2 had trouble with this scene. It's getting a not dog shit. And a possibly expand upon later, because I got me a feeling that this game has got more to give. Oh, and then when I do the 3 games, I pick a winner of the 3 games. It's Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Surprise, surprise. Now on to the next 3. First of the next 3 games is Aeon Flux. And I gotta be honest with you, I'd never heard of this at all. And I didn't realize Aeon Flux was a thing before that movie that came out in 2005. And not only that, the game was surprisingly good. Yes! Really. But I'm gonna give it a meh, because room to grow. And I'll possibly expand upon later, should I acquire it again. Next up is Hitman 2. This was my first time playing any of the Hitman games ever. And this was the first time in this series, the best of 3, that I had serious time, serious hat. Well, I have the serious hat on, that means you know there's no sillies. Not that I've never been serious without the hat on before, but this is just so you know what I'm about to say, even though it may seem sarcastic, is 100% Captain Crunch. This is the first time in this series I actually had to stop myself from playing the game. That's how much fun I had. It's getting a good, and a definitely expand upon later. However, I will say, I'm not a very good hitman. And finally, Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. Now, as you may or may not know, this is one of my favorite games of all time. But as I said earlier, my middle name is Unbiased. So, in order to give the other 2 a fighting chance, I made an exception to the rules. I put my memory card in. And I played one of the profiles. And one of the profiles was right next to a certain place in that game that I do not like at all. So, based upon that gameplay and that gameplay alone, it's getting a not dog shit. And possibly expand upon later, because I always like going back to stuff I like. And the winner of these 3 was Hitman 2. Although, Aeon Flux was an interesting close second. Oh, by the way, fools, goobers, absolute buffoons. I'm a dirty liar. I got 6 more games to talk about that I had recorded previously. Ha 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 ha! Got him. And look at this. the way I originally intended to do them. These are the selections of two friends of mine, ha ha ha, two, one of whom chose games from the PlayStation 1, the other, PlayStation 2. First of which is someone who's already chosen games. Settle yourselves, that is what he wanted me to call him. The first game he chose was King Kong. Peter Jackson's King Kong. The clarification does matter. Now, I like that movie, and believe it or not, I remember liking this game when it first came out. I remember a lot of people liking this game when it first came out. For the Xbox 360, as for the PlayStation 2 version, it is most definitely a downgrade. First and foremost, it's a first-person shooter, and for those of you who don't know, I don't care for first-person shooters, because I'm bad at them. But, props for realism. There's no HUD, and you gotta listen for your character to talk about the ammo count, which is a pretty neat touch too. Unfortunately, you can only see stuff when you're outside. You know how this works. I put the game in, I plug it into TV. If it's too dark, that's the game's fault, not mine. It's really not that bad though. It's getting to meh. And I'm never gonna play it again. Because anything that has more than 6 legs can go itself. Next is Resident Evil Outbreak. Yes, I like Resident Evil. And no, I don't have this game anymore. It didn't survive the purge. And to be honest, I've never actually really sat down and played it until now. I've usually just watched other people do so. The first level is exactly how I remember it though. Chaotic, scary, and confusing. Each character has something special they can do. For example, David is a plumber and has duct tape and can duct tape stuff together and make items, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't play that much of this game because I died pretty quick. It's getting to meh because it's pretty meh, but possibly expand upon later should I ever acquire it again. And finally, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You know, it's funny. I remember movie games having a really bad rap. But I also remember several movie games being fairly decent. So, yeah, including this one. I just played another one 2 games ago that was pretty decent. Except the bugs. The literal ones, not the game ones. This is just a straightforward hack and slash. It follows the movie pretty closely, I guess. I assume. I have beaten the game, but I'm trying to kill that memory currently. And just focus on the little bit that I played. It's getting good. And possibly expand upon later. And as for the winner of this trio, it was difficult, kind of. But not really, because I only scored 1 with a good. So Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. Because the music is good. For those of you who are unaware, or if this is the first one you're watching, I made a joke in the last one that I had assumed that when I told my friends to pick games off the shelves, that they would pick them based on their hilarity. Most of them kinda did that. Some of them didn't. Some of them picked incredibly good games that still won because they're incredibly good. However, that guy, he knows who he is. That guy didn't get the memo either. And he picked 3 pretty good games, or at least that's what their reputations have told me, because I haven't played either 3 of them. First game he chose, I don't own anymore, but it's not really that big of a deal because I could probably go out and buy one anytime I want. Final Fantasy VII. Now what you're looking at is me thinking the game is broken. Or my controller is broken. I'm not used to games having their primary button be anything other than the X button. My memory serves me, because I don't have the game in front of me anymore. You do things in Final Fantasy with circle. And now to judge the quality of this game that everyone loves based on merely 30 minutes. It's very cinematic. The music is really good. Gameplay's neat. And everything was really fun. It's getting a good, and it definitely expand upon later. Congratulations, FF7 fans. Your game is, the next game is Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. What is going on? This is a platformer, puzzle, adventure game? Yes? I don't know what it's qualified as, but it's very clever. And it's very stylized, which is always a good thing. However, I only played about 30 minutes of it, so it's getting a meh. But I definitely expand upon later. Once I acquire it for the second time. Hell, I may just play the remaster, because everything and their mother are getting a remaster these days, which is fine, because it's just the same game. It just looks better. And in some cases, plays a little nicer. Which is exactly the same case for the next game. Soul Reaver. Legacy of Kain. Sorry, I got distracted by the f***ing movie playing on my PlayStation. The game is actually really fun for what I played, which is nice. And the Legacy of Kain series is one I've never touched before, either. It's just another one of those ones that someone else would play and I would watch them play while picking up from my Game Boy Advance while playing Pokemon. It's getting pretty good. And 100% definitely expand upon later. Now, the winner of this trio of games, even though Soul Reaver got a pretty good Final Fantasy's gonna win, because that one's the least likely one I would want to play out of these three, and it managed to hook me in that way. So kudos for getting me to want to play a game that I wouldn't normally want to play. From henceforth, the best of three shall be done however the hell I want to do it. Sometimes I will only do 3 games in front of a green screen. Sometimes I'll be sitting at the desk for a much longer conversation. Sometimes I will mix them. Who knows? That squirrel in my brain doesn't. As always, I hope everyone's having a fantastic day.